Hey, everybody. Welcome to Android App Addicts, episode 549. This broadcast is brought to you by Simon B., a devoted Patreon guy. Was with us for at least 3 years. I want to thank you for all the support, Simon. If you too want to support this podcast directly, you can go to patreon.com/Android App Addicts. That is the easiest, simplest way to do it. Bottom line. Or you can simply share a link with the show on your social media of choice. That helps a million times more than just leaving a review. Long story short, reviews help the companies publishing the podcast, never helps the podcasters. Live and learn, people. Been doing this for over a decade. We're joined tonight by Ivor and by Josh. How's everything going, Ivor?
Oh, it's going really well, Dor. Thanks a lot. It's a bit of a cold, windy day here in New Zealand, but I've got the fire going and it's nice and toasty.
Very cool. The weather up here is getting ready to be really wet. Hurricane skimmed by Florida, hitting a little bit of the Carolinas, and we're going to get rain, I believe, starting tomorrow. Except for that, it's actually been mild. How is everything going over on your side of the continent there, Josh?
It's been warm, no rain. I've got to admit my gluteus maximus is a bit soreous. I played soccer for about the third time in my life on Tuesday and decided that I would like to try to see what it was like to be a goaltender. So it was a short field, 6-on-6, and some of those guys are professionals, I think, and really blasted the heck out of me.
I thought your face would have been hurting from blocking the ball so much.
Yeah, I managed to keep it away from my face and other important areas, but just I have decent reflexes, but terrible flexibility. So that combination causes some slight pulls and discomfort.
Well, I mean, it's just like the first time I get a brand new car, I go to an empty parking lot and I test it, stress it out so I know its boundaries. If you don't know your boundaries, you're just going to get in more trouble. So it's good to know where you should stop.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do this on a regular basis, try every Tuesday night. And then today I installed Android 10 on my phone, which was a bit nerve-wracking as it took way too long, and I thought maybe it bricked my phone, but after it finished, I've had no issues.
Was that a scheduled update or did you just do it yourself?
No, it popped up that it was available.
Yeah, Android 10 went live, I believe, yesterday morning. And the way they always do it is like 10% of the people will get it in the first X amount of hours. And then depending on how long it takes, how hard it's hurting the network, then they pace out the rest of the installations. My question is, initial impressions, is it dramatically different or is it even better?
I haven't had it that long. The only real difference that I can tell so far is that yeah, it's a little cleaner maybe in the top row with the battery and all the notifications. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm my attention to detail is terrible, Dor. So
well, no. That just means that nothing is jumping out at you. Are you using gesture navigation, or did it even ask you if you wanted to use it?
No, it didn't really give me the option. It seems like all of the new features I'm going to have to poke around and dig for. So I definitely will try all of that, or at least that, before next week.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sometimes when you have a new device and it gets 10, they give you a completely different set of defaults than if you've upgraded from a previous version.
Yeah, I didn't have much time today because I've been trying to learn Gatsby, which is the framework built on React, and I'm not that smart, so it's difficult.
What is React? Sorry if I'm sounding stupid.
Oh, it's another framework which is built on JavaScript mainly, and it's what Facebook uses. So it's their their framework for creating their web apps, including Facebook, and it they open sourced it, so it's probably, if not the most popular, one of the most popular web development frameworks right now.
Yeah, its goal is, I don't want to say to cut corners because that's almost insulting it. It's encouraging a more rapid development style to where you don't have to type every single little thing out. You just throw a name, throw some parameters like some sizes or something, and it does all the heavy lifting kind of thing. Used correctly, these JavaScript frameworks can take what should take weeks and weeks and weeks down to a couple days worth of work.
Yes, I would agree with that. And also, React is built to be responsive and extremely fast because it's using components, and whenever something changes, somebody enters details or clicks a button, the only parts that need to change on the page are updated, but the rest of it stays the same. So you're not building the page every time somebody clicks something, or there's a dynamic change. It only changes whichever component. So basically, it's creating single page apps. So I'm sure that only made it more confusing.
No, that sounds sensible to me. Yeah, these coding languages, especially for web development, are becoming simpler and simpler and easier for more people to use, which I think is only a good thing, really.
Yeah, they're definitely lowering the barrier of entry for everybody. And I will say, React, Angular, jQuery. I don't want to say it doesn't matter which one you learn, but if you learn one of them, everything seems at least a little bit easier.
Well, I also earlier in the week did a little poking around at Android app development, which I didn't get too far, but there's a language called Kotlin that I think I'm going to try to learn because I have an application which I could do and possibly even get paid for. So try that hopefully in the next couple months as well.
Very
Scrabble,
cool.
perhaps?
Well, I'll say, speaking of Android, and I don't know why, because I literally thank thought, because you guys mentioned this in the live show last week. I can add you guys as quote unquote moderators into the YouTube chat to where you should be able to put links in. I've tried everything else. I don't know what else to do.
It worked last week after you did that. We were able to post links.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of which, we missed you, Dor.
I don't know what happened. I literally don't know. I can blame my kids all I want. I can blame my wife all I want. I don't think any of them were the actual culprit. Long story short, I freaked out blaming Pi-hole ad blocking software on my network. In doing that, I reset my physical router. I'm dual natted because I'm an idiot. And my main router, I forgot the network cable doesn't clip in. It just sits there. So I think when I picked it up, because I keep getting the password wrong on the Verizon router that I can't get rid of, when I put it down, I believe it wasn't making a good connection, which I think only exacerbated my network issue. So I was upset last week, but it seems like it's fine now. Knock on fake wood.
Well, how are you
at least
doing,
you got to
Dor?
watch Cosmos at 3 times regular speed.
Yeah, that's true. It seems to be going okay. I still haven't set Pi-hole back up on my network, just out of straight fear.
But how are you doing? How was your week?
Oh, it's bad because I had a holiday on Monday, and at my place of employment, whenever there's a holiday, I've noticed it took 23 years because I'm so slow. But whenever there's a short week, it seems like a certain percentage of employees take off the entire week. And the reason is, I believe, is because every time there's a 4-day work week, everybody expects 5 days worth of work to get done. And I'm just getting to the point where I can't do it. I'm physically incapable of crunching down what people expect out of me in 4 days and 5. Yeah, I can't do it. And doesn't help the fact that 4 hours of the whole 32 hours was spent in training. So, it was not fun this week so far, even though I have one more glorious day left. Eating 600 calories a day doesn't help with the, aggravation level.
No, a gerbil couldn't survive on that.
Yeah. Well, on the weekends, one day on the weekends, I'm allowing myself to eat whatever. But for the weekdays, I have to go under 1,200 calories, or else it seems like I put on weight.
So you're hangry most of the time then?
That's a very nice way to put it. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. I'm quite aggravated. Yes. But not as aggravated. You hear that crappy segue? Not as aggravated as the people referenced in this article over on ZDNet. ZDNet, I'll say this. There's a lot of crap websites out there. There's a lot of niche websites out there. There are a lot of niche websites begging to expand here in the last couple of weeks, by the way. But there are a few websites out there that I still trust to a degree, and ZDNet or ZDNet is one of those sites. You're very welcome. Is one of the sites I find consistently okay. Not fantastic, but consistently okay. And this article caught my eye. It is basically saying how we on this show have had people on who have been extreme fans of Android, of like super cheap Android set-top boxes. And apparently there is a lot of Android set-top boxes out there where they are not getting correct updates. They're not getting correct updated firmware or anything else. So they're vulnerable to mass attacks. And I will say it didn't even cross my mind back when we were looking at these things. We figured they wouldn't get a lot of updates. For the most part, I think security updates are, I don't want to say overrated. I think they're overemphasized is the way I'll put it. But if you sell, 250,000 set-top boxes to people and they're connected to networks the whole time and they never get any updates on them, that is a prime, like low-hanging fruit target. So I will say if you have a set-top box that you know for a fact has not gotten updates, you might want to isolate it on your network.
I have an Android box sitting on my TV, and it's rarely used, but it's always just connected to my guest network. It doesn't have access to the full network. And whenever I did try to use it, because I signed up for a Netflix subscription the other day, I finally caved, and I tried to use Netflix on it. It just wouldn't work. Netflix refused to operate on it. So there's not a lot of point in hanging on to it now. Doesn't really do anything.
Gotcha. There is a way you can test if you're vulnerable to this exploit, I will say. It's basically, there's a port open on the device, port 5555, that's how people can, what's called ADB, Android device bus, wirelessly into the device. And if they get that kind of access, they have very privileged access, is the way I'll put it. So if you want to know how to do it, just look Wi-Fi ADB 5555, and you'll find many people telling you how to do it so you can see if your device is actually vulnerable to this.
Do you have to unload the boot locker first?
No.
So that can be vulnerable? No. Okay.
No. A fair amount of devices I've gotten over the years in the mail directly from Hong Kong, I'll say, kind of like this little thing right here. Their bootloaders don't have to be unlocked, but like you can directly access ADB over Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Security on these sorts of devices has always been an issue. Like you say, it's kind of overrated, but it is a vulnerability, and large networks of botnets have been set up using these sorts of devices. Just do a port search, and you'll find all sorts of bloody things there, with mainly from these cheap devices that people just have connected to the internet.
Yeah, and I hate saying like this, but the truth is, the more popular a device is, the more likely people will look for exploits on it. So if you
Mm.
literally got like a one-off box, there's little to worry about. But if your box was actually a okay spec device at a fine price, a fair price, and it's been available for like over a year, there's a chance it's actually popular. Where like if you get the Mi box, MII box, I would hope that thing's getting some updates because that was actually popular for over a year.
Yeah, didn't it have a certain chip in it that was obsolete now and was never going to get another update?
In the first generation of the Mi box, they did run into it was like a out of life cycle issue, but I think on the Mi box 2 they're still fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just posted a link into the chat for the Light Phone 2, which is sort of an anti-Android app addict phone. Apparently there was a Light Phone 1, which I missed in 2017, I believe it was.
Oh,
But
yeah, I've
this
seen these. Yeah.
this is a phone which allows for calling, texting, and what else? And alarms, and has 0 apps. So
I should give this to my kids.
Well, I'll first say the bezel on this thing looks like something from 1992. And I'll say it technically does have apps on it because the clock is an app and the other thing is an app. They do plan, they said, on releasing a very small number of applications, and the goal is to never install, they said, a browser. Nothing that will give you browser type functionality, but instead the types of apps where you can simply open it once and do one thing and then there's nothing else to do in the app. They they said they're going to be very particular about what they allow on their platform. But they did want to have, I want to say one of them was a possible navigation app they were looking at doing. I'll say this, I'm interested by the device, especially if it's cheap. Because I like the idea of having a dedicated non-connected, non-interactive device for certain things. Because let's admit it now, the people who need this maybe are the people who are willing to admit that they indeed are addicts.
right. Well, it does, under the specs, it does have a GPS, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi enabled. So without apps, those seem fairly useless.
Yeah, why would they need Wi-Fi if it doesn't have apps?
Yeah, unless it supports internet based phone calls like calls over
voice calls. Yeah,
yeah
or over-the-air updates. Might need Wi-Fi for that.
right. And I want to say T-Mobile, Verizon, and I think AT&T, if you're on Wi-Fi and it is a strong signal, they will try to route your voice calls over an actual network like that.
And
$350.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next. So you're about your cheap thing. Yeah. But it does work with your AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Those are the 3 that it mentions.
Huh. Well, you know.
Well, you can get 3 of them for the cost of a new iPhone.
I can get my right now current 9 to 5 phone, full-time phone costs less than that. I want to say it was $260.
And what are you running?
Huawei P20 Lite.
I read in the chat saying you can try and see if that China website shows its compatibility. Compatibility with what, Red? With Android?
No. There was a website me and Red found a while ago where most of the websites where you find phones, they just tell you bands that are available on the device.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, but with this website, it actually told you carrier compatibility, like A, B, C, and D. It gave it a grade.
Oh, okay, right. Yep, I've seen that before too.
Yeah, interesting device. If it was, in my opinion, $150 less, aka about half as much, it would
Mm,
probably
mm.
sell decently.
I imagine a lot of people would want to give this to the young kids. I mean, I've got an 8-year-old daughter. I don't want her to have a smartphone, but she catches the bus every day, and I need to be able to get in contact with her. So, yeah, this might be something I'd seriously consider just giving her.
Gotcha. Very cool.
I'm not paying $350 for it though.
Well, that's US too, so you're looking at
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
$750.
Well, speaking of overpriced, I'll say this at least interests me only because it's different and kind of like that light phone. This is at least different enough to catch my eye. I'll never pay the money that they're paying. But
Yeah,
I would love
I saw that.
I would love for this to come down. This is a Likebook Mimas. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a 10.3 inch e-reader, e-ink, Android based tablet, which I love the idea of it because there is certain things, let's say on my tablet, I don't need full motion video. I don't need 60 frames a second. I don't need 4K. There's a fair amount of uses, I'll say, I could find, with a device like this, especially if I can have a stylus, which I can, and actually draw or take notes. But they want $439 for this device. And I just, I love the idea of it, but no, I mean, to me, this is a $80 device, maybe.
Yeah, it's insane. How much is a Kindle e-reader? 150?
Kindle e-reader, I'm sure is much less, but there ain't no Android on it, and you
Exactly.
can't
Well,
hack
yeah.
it and put no Android on it. And here's the thing:
Mm.
they like tout that this price is down to $439 from $489.
Why so expensive?
Well, I don't know. I will say there's a good YouTube channel, Technology Connections. I'm 99% sure is the name. And if SCJ was in the chat, he would correct me if I'm wrong. He is the definition. If you look up nerd in the dictionary, there's a picture of Technology Connections guy. I mean that in the nicest way possible. He reviews all kinds of stuff like everything from AC units to light bulbs to how televisions used to work, turners used to work, and he's found more than a couple Android based e-reader, e-ink displays. None of them are cheap. They all try and have high refresh rates. I don't know why, but they all try to. So I think this is a trend. I think it's going to get more popular, but if they can bring the prices down to a reasonable price, I'm not going to lie, I'll definitely look at this.
Mm. Well, Lenovo came out with the successor to the Lenovo Yoga Book, which I used to have and now my son uses. But the keyboard for that is an e-ink reader. Turns from a keyboard to an ink reader as well.
Huh.
But that is also very expensive. It's about $900 US. So I'm just hoping for that to come down.
That's also because Lenovo makes the best hardware in the world.
Which world are you talking about? Well, they make some pretty good hardware, but they don't make very good phones.
The first world, Ivor. So we're not talking about New Zealand here.
That I'm not in. Yeah.
Okay, well, to completely derail that conversation and go a complete direction nobody was expecting in this show, I'll say. Here's an interesting article I found on the Next Web, and I'll say the Next Web is one of those sites. They have some pretty bad stuff on their website sometimes, but once in a while they have something interesting. And here's an article on how Hong Kong protesters are embracing offline messaging apps to avoid being snooped on. Okay, long story short, for people that don't know, we're now going on 13 to 14 weeks of mass protesting going on in Hong Kong. All started with a possible law being propositioned to where they could have extradition to China with no due process or any reason given. And once the law was introduced, people started to protest. Since then, they've had hundreds of thousands of people, sometimes on the streets protesting. Not a lot of people have died, got injured, been attacked, kind of thing. It's been remarkably low numbers, but the Hong Kong government is starting to be at least a little bit more pushy, is what I want to say. Like they tried to get crafty last week and spray people with hoses with ink in them, thinking they can later find the people with ink on them and arrest them. And then people were literally bringing like soap and detergent to the protest rallies and immediately cleaning off, kind of thing. Almost like they knew what was going on. Well, if they were using centralized services like WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, those kinds of services, it would be much easier for a government to snoop on them, is the way that I'll put it. So they've been using these quote unquote offline messaging apps to communicate back and forth. More of like a peer-to-peer messaging is the actual terminology for it, is what I'll say. So interesting, and I will say, here's me is a perfect use case of Nextcloud, to where if they were to use Nextcloud, they wouldn't have to worry about being snooped on. But if you're interested in being off the public cloud, having text messages back and forth, you might want to look at this article as an example of what your choices are and how you can have conversations and not have to worry about, big brother breathing down your throat.
Yeah. Oh, you go, Josh.
Okay, I was just going to say that it looks like it's built on an app called Bridgeify, which I was just looking into, and that's the looks like that is the offline messaging service. I don't really know how it works, but it looks like it's all open source, and I'm certainly going to look into it. Or maybe it's not. Actually, there's a pricing tier as well, but I think that this idea is absolutely fantastic, though. It's sort of reminds me of the sneaker net days, and I guess in some countries, sneaker net's still going on. So yeah, just finding ways to transfer information under the noses of people that are trying to repress that or repress you and keep information out.
It reminds me of, I think back in 2011, I want to say there were heaps of riots in the UK, and particularly London. And I think they spread to other countries in Europe as well. But after that, the police were trying to crack down on people using BlackBerry Messenger. They were trying to make sure that BlackBerry Messenger was with encryption keys were available to the police, so they could actually, stop the eavesdrop on the conversations these rioters were having, because they were being coordinated through BlackBerry Messenger.
Yeah, and for the listeners out there screaming to use Telegram, Telegram was one of the first ones that Hong Kong protesters said was compromised and was getting snooped on. Signal, the problem with Signal is it's so popular. Supposedly, governments have been installing applications on phones just to try to circumvent Signal to capture key-like strokes on phones. You want to go with something. Wow. Well, here's the long and the short of the example I'll give. China, in their big cities, have like barriers where people can't walk through unless they give their phone up. And when you give your phone up, they install an application on the phone. If China is so good about sniffing traffic and remotely monitoring everybody, why would they need to manually install applications on phones? Because I know for a fact the easiest way to snoop on the masses is to snoop at the lowest common denominator, the place where all their traffic is going through. And I'm sure China has direct access to all of the phone networks.
Of course it does. Yeah.
So must be a reason they're not snooping there. My guess is there's too much going on in the network. It's too hard to isolate channels, or there's encryption going on that they can't handle, so they need to get on the devices themselves. So you want to go with less popular choices is what I'll say. I have never heard of Fire Chat. I never heard of the other one you mentioned either, Josh, but I will say this. Going with a popular solution only makes you more of a target. Without sounding dumb, that's one of the reasons I like Voxer. I've been on Voxer now for 6 years, and I still am rarely am in public and hear off in the distance because it isn't a popular app, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Vox is great. It's got a lot of functionality as well.
It's great when it works, but for like the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've not been able to do variable playback speed. So when someone leaves me a 3-minute message, it's like torture listening to 3 minutes at 1x. But I don't blame them. I blame Voxer.
You should extract the audio file and listen to it on a different device.
You can only extract audio if you're a Voxer Pro subscriber. And if you were Voxer Pro, variable playback still didn't work. Okay, now, just yesterday, I got an update. Variable speed playback works. But if I have my Bluetooth disconnected and I hold my phone up to my ear, it won't play through the earpiece. It will only play through the loudspeaker on the phone.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I went and got Voxer Pro membership. So I'm quite happy with it. I only speak to Josh on it.
It works. So do you have any more links there before we get into the apps?
No, not me. No, sorry. I didn't look any up today.
No, I don't read very well, so.
Okay, well, I just have one, and I have to bring this one first just because I want to watch your guys' reaction live on the show. Okay, this app is from Cat Games Studio, okay, and it's called Hacker Simulator Tycoon, right? Okay, and you look down at the screenshots and there's nothing. It's like, it's just about create a unique character, perform hacking orders, create games and applications, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. Okay, go back up to the top of the page, click on Cat Game Studio, okay, and scroll down just a little bit, and what do you see?
Writer Simulator 2, Movie Director, Tuber's Life.
You don't see the Russian version?
No.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I do. Yeah, right
Okay.
there. The Russian version. Yep.
So this is what I find hysterical. These people are publishing an explicit Russian version of a game that they say teaches you the basics of hacking. And they're doing the same thing to the US audience where they're claiming that they're teaching you the very basics of hacking through a game form kind of thing. Don't ask why I found this. I'm just saying I found this, and I just started laughing out loud.
Do you speak Russian, Dor? Just a question for a friend.
Yet.
Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
I plead the fifth. No, but so I mean, I'm there once in a while. I like looking at simulator type games, and I saw Hacking Simulator. What? Hacking Simulator Tycoon? Because Tycoons were the old game of the roller coaster tycoon, amusement park tycoon, railroad tycoon, airport tycoon. They had them all. But then Hacking Simulator Tycoon, and I gotta say, I love the image artwork on it. It gives like the impression of like the UN or something going on in the background.
Nice. Dor, I do have one more link. Talking about the offline communication. This is an article written by a friend of mine who lives in India, and he also deploys internet in a box, and he uses cans to create mesh networks between communities and in villages. I think right now he's somewhere up in the Himalayas doing this. And so this isn't the article that I read before, but it's I'm sure it's an interesting read, and just the technology that he's using to create these mesh networks is pretty impressive. From Raspberry Pis to actual tin cans to use as antennas, basically.
Very interesting.
Mm. So
Very
why does
cool.
he do this? Is it part of a charity work or?
Yes, just
Right.
to connect and bring technology to different villages.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll say from someone in the first world speaking, I don't know if I would call this charity per se. Because to me, the idea of charity is you drop in, you walk by somebody, you throw some change at them, and you just keep
Mm.
walking. This is more like devoting time to try to betterment of communities, ecosystems, areas, people. Um, to me, we need a better word. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
at least too many people who I come across every day, the idea of charity means almost like pity, like here, go clean yourself up, kind of attitude. And I say that knowing I'm a first worlder, white male, aka weird. The acronym weird, if you guys aren't aware of it, it is the problem plaguing government. It's the problem plaguing civilization. It's the problem plaguing medicine. I'm weird. WEIRD. Western, educated, industrial, rich, democratic, which is not the majority of the people in the world. Yet everything that we have in the first world is based off of that. Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic. So when we hear people in Russia, we don't comprehend. Oh, what do you mean they have no freedom? Well, that's their own fault. No, we cannot possibly understand how their culture is or reacts. When we see people in Africa, we think sending them shoes helps them. No, if you go to one of those things that where you buy a pair of shoes and it sends a pair to them, you talk to people in Africa. That's the worst thing you can do because you're taking jobs away from people who can make shoes. They don't need free stuff. They need careers. They need jobs. You know, I digress. Good article, Josh. Good article.
Mm.
Well, I can relate to what you're saying though, because with the computer lab project in Myanmar that I do, there's more than once I've had to, I guess, justify what we're doing and actually try to impress upon people that it is sustainable for different reasons. I've needed to do this, but that's like what you're saying is you walk by and throw 50 cents at somebody, and that's what people or some people tend to think is going on is you go and you just set up these computer labs and then walk away. Whereas in order to make it sustainable and actually worthwhile, you have to put that extra effort in to train people and, have some sort of contact with the community in order to make sure that everything is still working and, be able to answer questions and things like that. Otherwise, yes, it does tend to come down to or end up being a pile of rubbish in a corner that's just collecting dust that, in 5 years, people say, I don't even remember what that was for.
Yeah, and I did notice, I don't know if you noticed this, Josh, on more than a couple Medium pages I've seen here lately, there's an audio player at the top. And I do think they are basically taking volunteers are basically reading the article and putting it all in audio form. And I'll say this, for people who need accessibility, listening to that has to be better than listening to a machine speak. I don't know.
Mm.
And it
Well,
actually
Google's
said,
getting pretty good at voice, voice translation and voice management now. Like they had that. What's that project where they call up and make a reservation for you?
I want to say it's not Duo.
No.
No, it's the one that actually turned out to be fake. Almost 40% of those phone calls were actually made by people.
Yeah, that's right. But but
Oh.
they've done a lot of research into the structure of language and
Oh,
the
yeah.
form of language here, and they're getting their machines to be able to talk like a lot like people now.
Yeah, I will say I'm almost shocked at how I can normally speak to my phone and it perfectly understand what I said. And then I stop and think, there's like 85 different ways I could have said that. And it seemed like it just naturally understood what I said, even though I, could have said it a different way. And I will say this, Red in the chat, if you want to come out live to the chat Thursday night, New York time, 9:00, we're on YouTube, and IRC there. He says, not a handout, a hand up. And I'll say, very apropos, Red. Yes, exactly. What people need is not pity, throwing money at them, throwing stuff at them, but instead giving them a hand up to our level kind of thing without sounding, pompous.
And it says underneath that the audio player there that it's actually an audio podcast for this blog post. So now I just need to do some research on what a podcast is.
Good luck. I think it's something that only people do in the first world.
I wish I knew somebody I could ask about it.
So what's your first app there, guys?
You go first, Josh.
Right under the bus. The first app that I'm going to bring is called Magnet Balls Pro. And this is one that I think that Eric would like.
Okay, it looks like they might have a free version.
Yes, they do. The only reason I have this version is because on the app sales app, it was free.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. I think there was an ad at the bottom too. So you know what? All these apps that you get that say pro, they all seem to have ads anyway. So I don't know.
I didn't see. I forgot to look. Let me see.
Well, on I'm logged in under the account that my phone is, so I can't see the price. Does it have a price?
99 cents, and it does say contain ads.
Ridiculous. So basically, this is just like any other BB Tan type. I don't even know what that platform is called.
Frozen Bubble.
Frozen Bubble Bobble.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Bubble Bobble.
This is an old Linux game from literally like 98, but looks ridiculously better, I will say. And yes, Eric did bring at least one or two of these type of games in the past where he admitted he couldn't stop playing them.
Yeah. Eric really was an Android app addict.
And so basically it's just you have what I assume are steel balls, and then there are
Why, thank you.
Hey.
Takes one to know one.
Gonna write that down real quick. And so then towards the top of the screen, there are different numbers of magnets. Like the first one has 3 magnets at the top, and so the balls will stick to there, and then like Bejeweled or any other games like that, you have to get 3 of the same color, and then they go away. But you can bounce it off the wall. So basically, you're just trying to use the magnetic force to manipulate the flight of the ball to line up with other such colors.
Huh. One of the features is 5 bonus balls. Okay, I guess that's a feature now. But yeah, this is the kind of game, if you are OCD, you might get trapped. All you got to know is balls, when they connect together, make like hexagon type shapes. So there's always that shape you're pushing forward where you can try to manipulate. Well, if you hit it hard enough this way, it's going to disconnect and reconnect the other way, and then have a long chain of hits kind of thing. And it does have an endless mode, which I will say is the kind of mode where, like, if you're on an airplane or a train ride, that might be like the perfect time killer.
And it, like you said, too, they do swing on the magnets are round, and the balls are obviously round, and so they will start swinging, and they might swing endlessly. So then you have to adjust your flight pattern accordingly.
Oh, and it will let you actually change what color you're spitting out.
Yes, you can go through and change the color of ball. So
That's a plus.
Does it have blue balls?
Look, they have a couple different shades.
a couple different shades of blue balls. So this, to wrap it up, this is not a life-changing app or a world-changing app, but it is potentially fun.
Back in 2005, my first daughter was born, and we got a new TiVo set-top box, and we installed that, and it had a game on it, which was a Bubble Breaker or something like that, which my wife used to play when she was nursing our daughter, and she would spend hours playing this bubble game while my daughter was nursing, and she played it so often that it burned into the screen. We had a plasma TV, and it just burned all the shapes of the bubbles into the screen.
Wow.
But I don't know what it is about bubble games, but they are highly addictive.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring one more, I think at least one more game here, and it's only because I was searching for one thing, and it started me nostalgia feeling about other things, which led me to this. Which anybody who's played games for, off and on for a couple decades would have definitely recognized. Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic by a Atari simulation game, E for everyone, no in-app ads, does have some kind of in-app purchases. 661 reviews, 4.4 average reviews, eligible for family plan, updated March 17th, 2019, 65 megs in size, 10,000 plus installs, current version 1.0.0. yada yada, 4.0.3 Android and up. Again, content rating E for everyone. In-app purchases, I don't know what they are, but they're anywhere from $1.99 to $5.99 per missions. Are nothing out of the ordinary except for contacts. I'm not a fan of the contacts. And this is not a free game. It costs $5.99 US, which I will say, this is a quote unquote real game. This is not a pretend game. This is not a, game-et, but this is the real old school game, Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you can build, design roller coasters and see how popular they become. And you can watch the roller coasters ride around, and you can set them on death traps if you want as well.
Yeah, this was a very popular game in its day. I think my son played it for a while too.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was
good to see it.
cool. It ain't groundbreaking. I'm not going to say it is. And if you do click through, they do have a Roller Coaster Tycoon Touch by the same company, Atari. It's more updated, but that one does contain ads and have in-app purchases. So I'd rather just pay once up front and get all the functionality.
Well, if it says that they're in-app purchases, and you also have to purchase it, so when you buy it, are there additional in-app purchases?
I bought it. I have no idea what the in-app purchase would be.
Do you have to pay to ride the roller coaster, perhaps?
I don't think so. No, I mean,
Do you have to be this tall?
I hope not. Because I was going to give it to my youngest to play. He seemed interested by it. I don't know, and it does say that you can import and export, share your saved parks. So if you have old save files from Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, the PC game, you can literally import them into this.
Wow, really?
Wow.
That's what it says.
So they've managed to basically transfer the whole operating system into an Android
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Atari is
good.
really trying to get into this Android app game.
Well, there's a lot of money to be made with microtransactions.
That looks really fun, Door.
Yeah, it's a great game.
If I had
RollerCoaster
$8, I might think about buying it.
Gotcha. So what do you have next, Ivor?
Well, I don't have a game, but I do have. Do you want to put the link in the chat?
Wherever you want.
Okay, there it is. For a while, I've been experimenting. I used to use Nova Launcher on my phone. I bought a Huawei Mate 20 Pro, and I wasn't really very happy with EMUI, and so I've been trying different launchers, but I always somehow end up going back to the default home launcher, which is the EMUI launcher. And the one problem I had with it was I couldn't change the icons on my Huawei phone. So I found this app, which is called Themes for Huawei and Honor. And what it does is it basically lets you download a third-party icon pack, and it will convert that icon pack into a EMUI theme. So if you have a Huawei phone, you can now use any icon pack you like while still maintaining your use of the original home launcher. You don't have to switch to a Nova launcher or any other launcher. It's just so that you can use different icon packs. And it doesn't work all the time, but when it does work, it's actually really good. So yeah, sometimes there are some icon packs that just aren't compatible at all and they don't work. But most of them do work, and you end up being able to switch icons, which I thought was pretty good. If you're not really keen on switching to Nova Launcher or to any other launcher, you just want to stick with what you've got, then this is a good solution to be able to change your icons around.
Very cool. And to testify on the popularity of those brands outside of at least the US, this does have 17,000 reviews with a total of 1 million plus installs.
What are the in-app purchases?
You can buy your own themes for your phone as well. So they sell separate theme packs, which you can buy and install. But if you've got a separate icon pack somewhere, it doesn't cost anything to convert it.
Very cool. And you can do custom fonts as well, which I think is pretty cool.
Fonts. Yep.
This is all you with the fancy Huawei phones. Hey, Dor, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any advice, say I was to become a dog?
Oh, yeah. I did play that game for a little bit. What was it called again? How I Became a Dog, or I Became a Dog?
I became a dog, I believe.
Yeah. The long and the short of it is, you have to. Wow. That sounded funny. You have to basically figure out a path or pattern through the game is the logic of it. Like you said, you have to figure out really quick that you have to eat the food. Well, eating the food just enables you to understand what the other dogs are saying, but you do have to eat a fair amount to understand what the dogs are saying. And it leads you through progression of finding a cat hiding in the dog house, finding another pup in jail, finding medicine for a dog, finding a oil-like substance in a bathtub, more and more. Long story short, there's 5 different paths to an ending of this game. I found the first 3 of them. I have a hard time figuring out the last 2 of them. But one reason why I'm surprised you didn't really enjoy the game was shortly into the game, if you know what you're doing, maybe 10 minutes, because you got to restart every time you beat it. You have to restart from the beginning to try a different ending. You learn a power to draw bugs to you. And every time you use this power, you get anywhere from like 40 to sometimes 70 or 80 bugs, because to collect them the normal way takes forever. And to let you know, Josh, you gather bugs through flatulations. So quite literally, you stand in the middle of the room, you hit the fart button, and then bugs come like flying towards you.
Sounds about right. So, do you say that you enjoyed this game?
I enjoyed the puzzle solving with it. I just had a hard time figuring out some of the alternate paths. The power you learned earlier is the power to bark. When you learn the power of barking, you can basically on demand get more food. So the very, very beginning, it's a very slow process to learn to talk to people. Once you learn to talk to like the first conversation, you can basically anytime you want get more food. You can use it too often and then have to wait for a cooldown period, or you can hit the button and watch a video. If you watch a video, you get full charge again. So I did that a couple times. The game turns dark fast, is what I'll say. It turns a little bit dark, yeah, because the guy is in jail, falsely accused of basically murder, of another animal, and another animal amongst you is the actual guilty party.
Nice. So it was the schnauzer in the kitchen with the butcher knife?
Something like that, yep.
Well, so what you're saying is that the whole point is to get your dog to flatulate, which brings me into my next app. So another crappy segue. This app is
Mine wasn't crappy.
We'll just move on from there, I guess. This is called Idle Poo Factory VIP.
The show is this.
And it's by Caffeine Monster. It's rated mature 17 plus, 4.0 average reviews out of 134, 5,000 plus installs. In-app purchases $1.19 to $20.99. And yeah, so you are the proprietor of a Poo Factory, and you start with, I think it's apples, just one variety of fruit, and you have what looks like a robot. And
Alrighty.
then you upgrade the fruit, and you upgrade the speed of the contraption, which is grinding the fruit up, which would be, I guess, the stomach. And then the drops down into what would be the bowel area, and then there's a assembly line below you, and you are putting out poo. The larger the poo, the more money you make. So you are trying to upgrade your factory and create bigger, faster poo.
So you've actually played this game?
Ivor, I think something happened and your mic got switched for something else.
And yes, Ivor, I did for a little while. It's just, I find that most of the apps that I download anymore are just tap here, tap there, speed tap.
Well, the developer name is Caffeine Monster, I will say. And this game does say mature 17 and plus. One of the characters, avatars, whatever, reminds me of a Terminator a little bit, which you might find disturbing or not. I don't know.
Yes, the other one is it looks like a crash test dummy, and then the next one is what looks like maybe an Australian sheepdog or something. Australian collie.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I saw this app a while ago and I thought, oh my God. Why? Why? Dear God, why?
Why didn't you bring it before I did, so I didn't have to deal with it?
Well, I thought I'd leave it for you.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, right. Congratulations is in order for sure.
Um,
So yes, this is the epitome of a crap app.
you said it. Yes. We'll not argue. This one I wanted to bring because I showed it to a couple people that play D&D, and they were all definitely intrigued by it. Is what I'm going to say. It's called Yora Adventures, Yora, by TriClap role playing game. T for teen. Does have some kind of in-app purchases. 34 reviews, free to install, no ads, in-app ads. 4.4 average reviews. Updated August 16th, 2019, 19 megs in size, which I will say is very nice size. 1,000 plus installs, current version 0.2.0. You need 5.0 Android and up. Content rating, teen and language. Oh, yeah, it is. In-app purchases are $4.99, which I believe is honestly, now that I think about it, I want to say it was a monthly subscription after the first 7 days was free. Contacts, storage, photo, media, location, calendar, camera, other. Needs a fair amount of access. This is not an easy thing to describe, but I'm going to try. Okay. Yora, Yora, I believe stands for Your Online Role Playing App. I believe is what Yora stands for. Here's the long and the short of it. You have people who like playing, let's say D&D, but you don't have the physical things set up. You don't want to sit down and write out all the character sheets. You don't want to have a DM screen. You don't want to have all these dice. You don't want to have miniatures. You don't want to have any of those other things involved. Okay. You all download and install this app. One person is the game master, dungeon master, or whatever, and the other people have the app installed, or you're all linked together. They're all characters in this adventure where you can share things between the adventures. You can tell secrets between the adventures. You can roll dice right there. The game master can present you with things digitally on the app, kind of thing. The long and the short of it is you're missing out if you're a longtime D&D fan, because this is not Dungeons and Dragons. This is not licensed Dungeons and Dragons. But I did find out more than a couple of the things involved in Dungeons and Dragons, they purposefully have in a open license format. So some of this can still seem familiar to your longtime D&D person. I personally think this is a really nifty way to introduce people to the idea of Dungeons and Dragons who don't like the idea of sitting down and filling out an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with all these stats and information that they don't really understand what they are.
So is this designed? I was watching the video a bit there. Is it designed to be played around a table, or is it designed to be played wherever you are in the world? Because in the video, they were all sitting around a table playing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the reason it's asking you for your GPS data in permissions is it wants you to be all local. The logic is because you're basically all going to communicate on the same Wi-Fi network, and it might not work across the internet, behind NAT routers, stuff like that. So you might be able to trick it, is what I'll say, to work over the public facing internet, but I don't think it's intended to be played like that.
This is really cool. I don't know if you can see this. I got this book a while ago on Amazon. It's designed for kids to introduce them to Dungeons and Dragons. And there's another one here called Monsters and Creatures. So you've got monsters and creatures and warriors and weapons, and it just explains the basic rules for getting kids into D&D, because my kids are I'm interested in getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and I think something like this would be ideal. You put it on a tablet and you can take them through a simple game without all the the rule checks and the dice and all that sort of stuff, which can be a bit daunting, especially for younger players. So I think that's a really good app.
Well, and I'll say, I think that one of the examples of a downside to this app is I do not think you as a game master, dungeon master, have the ability to create custom events, custom stories, custom adventures. So I think if you want more adventures, that's when you most likely have to pay.
You're going to lose some of your flexibility or your creativity options going to a format like this. But in terms of just getting people into it to start off with without having all that administration that goes with it, it's a really good idea.
I always wanted to play D&D, but I never had the group of friends that was willing to do it. And so I guess it begs the question, who's the bigger nerd, the one that plays D&D or the one that envies the ones playing D&D?
Well, I'll just say, if you were a member of Roll20.net, you might want to change your password. There was a huge data breach like a week and a half ago, which is a D&D based community website where you can go for free, create an account, meet people online. It used to work via Google Hangouts add-on chat, to where you would have your window there viewing all the other people, and then you would have the game board on the side and your stats on the bottom of it. I'm guessing the site is still up and running, but if you have an account there, you might want to go, check your stuff and change your password. Okay. What do you have next?
I think it's
Ivor.
Ivor's turn.
Yeah. After the Poo Factory, I'm pretty sure I know whose turn it is.
Speaking of Poo Factory, it's your turn, Ivor.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I have been lately getting into Linux thanks to my friend Josh and Dor, and I've installed Linux Mint on my desktop, and I've been using it, and it's really, really good. I really like it and enjoy it. And one of this app that I found, I'll just put it in the chat now, is called the Linux Command Line Library, and it's basically a description of every single, well, I don't know if it's every single, but a lot of the command lines that are being used. And it has tutorials, it has explanations of what certain command lines do, it's got manuals, you name it, it's in there. And this is a really good little app for keeping beside you while you're tinkering around with Linux, and it will explain a lot to you. And it gives you little exercises to do. Breaks it into basic things like managing files and folders and the network that you're on, and video and audio and all that sort of thing. So I found it really, really useful to explain, because you see a lot of tutorials on YouTube telling you to input these lines of text, and you're not really sure what they mean or what they do. So you can use something like this as a little companion to get used to commands and what they're telling you to do, and how your system works. It's a really good option if you're going from Windows to Linux.
Yeah, and I'll say, for me, examples are the make or break with this kind of thing, and they do have examples, because it's easy to not understand what a command does, and it's easy to not understand what's called the man page with a Linux command, because all it does is it very statically says -x means this, -p means this, and as a user, you're expected to digest all of that, and then at the end say, oh, I now completely understand this command.
So putting it into real world use case scenarios, or you use this command line to do this, and I found it very easy to understand, and it does a good job of simply explaining things and what they do.
And have you figured out how to paste in the command line yet? Which is actually called terminal.
You just right click, don't you? Paste.
Control-Shift-V.
Control-Shift-V. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Control-V didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, Control-Shift.
Well, and here's the example of why learning Linux will help you on any operating system. Because then if you go back to Windows and you try Control Shift V, what you find out is that does plain text pasting. So hypothetically, you go into Microsoft Word and you copy like 3 paragraphs with 3 different fonts in it. You go to another application, hit Control and V, and it will paste the 3 different fonts. But if you hold down Control Shift and then hit V, you'll paste it with no formatting in it whatsoever.
Nice.
And so when you paste into a terminal, you better not have any formatting because it's a terminal and it has no idea what formatting is. So yeah, you learn by example is what I'll say. And yeah.
When are you going to start a podcast called Windows for the Rest of Us Store?
Hold your breath and I'll let you know.
I think this is a terrific app, Ivor. It's not quite a Poo Factory, but it is good. It's really good.
It's not as crappy as that, but yeah.
I'm really glad that you're into Linux now. You know, there's been a few people that I have converted, and it's always, you know, the world becomes a better place every time somebody converts to Linux.
It's like an angel gets their wings. Yeah. I mean, I just find it to be a much better system than Windows ever was. Much more functional, faster. You don't get the lag. It's simpler, easy to understand. You can do it. There's a lot of powerful functions with the command line. And it takes me back to my old days when I was learning BASIC, when I was 14 years old in the computer club, trying to write a script. So,
man, the computer club and Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
You are my hero.
An Uber nerd, yeah. Yeah, there's a few. I saw the bottom of a few rubbish bins. Put it that way.
This locker is actually more roomy than it looks from the outside.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, what do you have next, Josh?
I have an app called Last Arrows by Red Sugar. It is classified as action, and it's for teens. Updated 21st August 2019, 67 megs, 100,000 plus installs. Has 4.5 average reviews out of 15,671. And it has in-app purchases $1.39 to $58.99, which seems a bit extreme. I like this type of graphic. I don't know, you probably have a name for it, but you are an archer and you line up shots and cover your children's ears. You try to shoot the people in the noggin, I guess.
Headshot.
There you go. And then I haven't played it that much, but the first upgrade you get is penetration. So you can shoot 2 at once. So it just becomes more and more complicated where you get less arrows and then you have to take out 3 with 1 shot.
Yeah, I was just watching the video. There's a scene there where the guy shoots an arrow through 5 heads. Through the guy's 5 heads. So, and there's blood everywhere. It's great. My son's going to love this.
Nice.
It might be even better than Bowmasters, which is another one of his favorites.
Yeah, and this is a editor's choice named in the top 10 of the Google Indie Festival of 2018. So it's definitely I'll say a higher quality game.
Yes, you have you are a master of words as far as describing graphics and things like that. Is there a term for these type of graphics?
I'll say it's like simple cell shaded graphics, top down 3/4 view. Um, I like the fact that you can once in a while like hide behind obstacles and you can see where people are looking. So you can basically like wait for them to be in a certain area, then show yourself so they all draw towards you. There's a lot of manipulation. It is what I would say.
Yes, you tend to start behind an obstacle, and then as you draw the bow, then you come out of or from behind whatever obstacle you're hiding behind, and then make your shot. But I did, unfortunately, if you are seen and cannot get a headshot before these odd-looking creatures reach you, then they seem to gnaw on your head, and then you're the one that perishes.
Gotcha. The app I'm going to bring next, I do believe it's a completely free app, is what I'm going to say first and foremost, because typically this kind of functionality, it's hard to find cheap. I've not been a fan of Airdroid in the past, primarily because it didn't seem like it did a lot of things that other apps didn't do, I thought, just as well. I'm not going to say better, but just as well. Well, now Airdroid is releasing Airdroid remote support from Sand Studio Tools app. E for everyone, 36 reviews, completely free to download. No in-app ads, no in-app purchases. 4.2 average reviews. Updated July 31st, 2019. 27 megs in size. 10,000 plus installs. Current version 1.0.0.2. You need Android 5.0 and up. Content rating again, E for everyone. Permission level, storage, phone, microphone, Wi-Fi, photos, device ID, other. There's a reason it needs all of this access. There's two applications. One of them is AirDroid remote support, and the other one was, I believe, it was AirDroid. Oh man, there's this. This is the app you give to someone who needs support. Is what I'm gonna say. You have your app, they have their app. They launch it up, you launch yours up. You get a 9-digit code, I want to say. They give you the 9-digit code, you type it in your phone, and voila, you have full screen remote access to their device. You can hit a button and you can talk to them through the device. You can change it to where you're just tapping on the phone to show them an area to tap. You can have like a pointer type device. They can give you a pointer type device back, or you can actually click and manipulate things. You can also turn on the cameras where you can see each other in the bottom corner to give support, kind of thing. This is what I will say without any hesitation, a unbelievably full featured app for remote support, Android to Android. I don't want to say the best I've seen, but this is about the best I've seen, is what I'll say.
The Mark bought one a few episodes ago called AnyDesk, which I've been using, and it's excellent. It's really good as well. So I'd be interested to see how this one compares.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of functionality in the AnyDesk one as well.
Yeah, that one was free, but only over your local network. This one, I can literally connect to you in another country for completely for free, no cost at all.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
The difference is with that, any connect you could have unattended support to where you could blindly remote into a different device and you didn't have to do any thing else. This one, every time they launch it, you're given a different unique code to use. So there has to be somebody on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely give it a go.
What are you using it for, Ivor?
Well, for the show, basically, I can use it to share my screen. So I share my screen, and so there you can see the apps that I've got on my screen, and then I can give a demonstration of how they work. Other things I can use it for is I have a security camera that's set up on my window, so I can have that security camera footage on my phone and have a separate window on my PC of that security camera footage, so I can look outside the window, see what's going on outside the window while I'm working on my PC.
Have you ever thought about looking out the window?
I don't have a window. It's a problem. If I want to go and look out the window, I have to get out of the room and leave my PC. I can look at Elvis, but I can't see out the window.
Well, speaking of Elvis, no, really. I am a YouTube red, whatever it's called now, YouTube Premium subscriber. I found this link, is what I'm saying. I found this link the other day, and what it is, it's a link to a YouTube account, an official YouTube account called Movies and Shows. And the link I'm dropping in the chat, all the movies are marked free with ads. Well, because I'm a YouTube Premium member, I watch these movies, there's no ads. So it's literally just free movies. And I'll tell you this, it's no Netflix. No, it's no Netflix. But Amazon videos seemed pretty sucky. This seems as good, maybe, I don't know, maybe a touch better, I don't know. They do have movies like the Terminator, Stallone Over the Top, Knowing with Nicolas Cage, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Classic.
Sorry?
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Classic
And,
film.
and then if you scroll down, Elvis, the final hours, where they go through the and He-Man, Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. The Legend of Bruce Lee, which is a 3-hour movie. So they have real named stuff in here, Thelma and Louise. But then they have, like, once in a while, they have a movie called Snow Queen, which looks like it's trying to look a lot like that Disney movie, but it's not. Dirty Work, right? And they had Dirty Work. Dirty Work's a good movie. If you don't like Dirty Work, I'm not sure we have problems, because it's a good movie. So if you are a YouTube Premium person, there is a place where you can go and watch tens of hours, is what I'm going to say, at least hundreds of hours, even like Hellboy, Blood and Iron. It's an animated Hellboy thing. I never even heard of it. Might be worth watching. George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff here. Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. I'm not saying anymore.
I didn't even know he left the seventh dimension, to tell you the truth.
I'll say first off, if you haven't watched that movie, you need to watch that movie. Peter Weller, aka RoboCop, is a master of everything: super spy, rock star, neurosurgeon, political negotiator. He's everything. Jeff Goldblum's in the movie. It's hard to go wrong with Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, it's good. And it has one of the best exit music I've ever heard in any movie in my life. Period.
Sweet.
Oh, and did I mention he's a rock star? Because he's kind of a rock star.
I'm a bit confused though, Door. Because looking at this, I do not have YouTube Rouge or whatever. Are all of these videos that I'm looking at, are they all free for you if you have Red?
They're all free for you. You just have to watch the ads.
No. A lot of these are like Jurassic Park is right there. And it says from $4.99 Canadian.
Well,
and then there are some. Oh, I see. Okay. So there's the free to watch section.
Okay.
And those all have
that would
ads.
come through. Yeah.
No, I've got I see it now, the free to watch, but And so if you have YouTube Red, then those are all without ads.
Right.
Okay.
And there's literally hundreds and hundreds of movies in that list, is what I'll say. Some of them really bad, like Selena Gomez, Dreaming. But you have Platoon, and that's good. Yeah, there's some good ones there.
Maybe for you in Canada, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 30 movies here, Door.
Oh, well. So you can take your maple syrup and keep it, eh?
That's a.
Can you send me your username and password?
Yes. It's 1, 2, 3. After Dark Original Area 51. Well, that might be worth a watch.
The question is Mystery Science Theater 3000 the movie on there?
No, I can almost guarantee you that's not.
And if you haven't seen that one, that's also a movie to watch.
Mars
Still-
Attacks?
Yeah.
Got that in there?
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Good Eats though. That's a good TV show.
Oh, what about Iron Chef?
Didn't see Iron Chef. So, do you have another app here, Ivor?
Yep, sure do. This one is one that's been on the show before, but it came a long time ago. And it is probably worth another look now. I think it came back in episode 330 something. And it's called the Palabre Feedly RSS Newsreader. And I haven't had that much time with this, but I find it to be a much better app on my phone than the Feedly the Feedly app is. So this is a lot easier to use. The widget is really good. The widget is very impressive as opposed to the Feedly app. And I just find this actually is a much better formatted, much more well laid out format for the stories that you're reading. And it presents your news feed in a much better way. It's much easier to use than the actual Feedly app itself. So if you're using Feedly, you might want to give the Palabre Feedly RSS reader another look. So its current version is 3.24. It requires Android 4.1 and up, and in-app purchases go from $1.70 to $33.56. New Zealand, of course, and 100,000 plus installs. I spend a bit of time using it. Well, not that much time, but when I have used it, I found it really easy to use and quite well structured.
Do you have to log in to use it?
You need to log in with your Feedly account or your Google account.
Okay. It's pretty ironic, I suppose, that I actually installed an RSS reader today for the first time because our power went out. And so I wanted to subscribe to BC Hydro to see if I could get any information as to why. And I tried Feedly first, but it required a login, which I didn't want to do.
Mm.
And so I ended up using RSS Reader, I think is what it's called. And RSS Widget. And it didn't require any login, but it's kind of ugly.
Yeah, I was particularly impressed with the widget because the Feedly widget only gives you like 5 stories, and then you have to go into the app itself. But this widget, it just cycles through all your stories, and you can just sit there with the widget on your screen going through. You don't even have to open the app.
And then it just scrolls through.
Yeah, you can just scroll through all your stories using the widget. Do you remember it from episode 330 something?
I remember Feedly being brought up. I'm pretty sure I wasn't the one to bring it though.
331 it came.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the one that brought it, is what I'll say. Any app, I just got to say this. I'm sorry. any app with Ed Sheeran in the first picture is not an app developed for me. Just saying. That just ain't. And it has 2 pictures of him. 2 pictures of him. Dang. Okay. Now here's a dumb question. Can you actually submit your own RSS feeds, or do you have to go with their pre-selected, pre-curated selection? Are you there, Ivor?
You're muted, Ivor.
Oh.
Sorry, guys, I'm having audio trouble again. I don't know what's going on. I will turn it off and turn it back on again. I'll come back in about 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to say like half of the RSS readers I've looked at in the last year, you don't have an option of putting in a custom RSS link URL. You can only put in what they deem fit. Now they do give you selections to pick from, but honestly, if you know anything about computers and the internet, 90% of the websites you go to, if you just go to them and just put a /feed after a URL, you'll get an RSS feed, and you can just subscribe to that, and you don't need any special hocus pocus to get it to work.
I have Google to curate my articles for me, so I don't. If I have an I cannot say this RSS reader. Yeah, definitely has to be customizable. What's the point?
And don't get me wrong, I use the Google Newsfeed as well. The problem with the Google Newsfeed is there's no taking it offline. And if you scrolled and you saw something and you didn't click it and you went and did something else and you came back, that link might be gone forever.
I don't know what version of, I think it was the last update in Android 9 Pie, I guess it is. There is a little, I don't know, it's a toggle switch basically at the bottom of the article on the news feed, and then you can either pick more or less. And so you can sort of customize it a little bit more that way towards, but then again, you're kind of isolating what you see. And now I just get a bunch of Raspberry Pi articles.
Right.
And Android articles.
Well, I'll say I don't like that little slide thing at the bottom because it says more and less. I have no idea what it believes it's doing more or less of. Where if you hit the 3 dots at the bottom right, you can at least say not interested in 3D printing or follow 3D printing, or something like that. Or it actually can give you more than one category to say not interested in or interested in, or you could click on the following button. At least then I have an idea of what I'm following. That little more and less thing, I'm almost afraid to click it, is what I'll say. Unless I know. No, I don't want to know about the Boston Red Sox or ESPN or that pitcher individual. I don't want to know about any of them.
Ed Sheeran, for instance.
Or Ed Sheeran. Or pop music, British pop music, or anything involving Ed Sheeran. That's a safe bet.
I've got one more app door.
Okay.
This one I brought specifically for you. All right. I do like bacon as well. But this is Bacon the Game by Philip Stollenmeyer. It's a casual game according to this. 4.3 average reviews out of 37,474. Last updated 13th of August 2019. 83 megs in size. 5 million plus installs. Which you can expect for anything related to bacon, I suppose. And
content rating, alcohol reference.
Oh, geez. Never mind. I'm taking it back. I don't want to bring this one. The description for this app is: have you ever tried bacon on ice cream, pina colada, the United States of America? And that's it.
And
So,
in the picture, it might be a meteor or the moon.
right. And there's a stack of, it looks like a turducken with all the different birds stacked on top of each other. And there's a Statue of Liberty. And how it functions is that on the left side of the screen, there's a hand which is waving a piece of raw bacon. And so you have the physics of the actual motion of the bacon. And so when you touch the screen, whatever inertia the bacon has, whatever direction, that's the direction the bacon goes. And then there's a flat frying pan, which the bacon drops onto. And then you have to basically flip the bacon and get it to land on top of whatever object it is you're trying to get it to land on. And it's actually quite fun.
Yeah, so it's a physics-based game, and the bacon is floppy.
Yes.
And your goal is to make it land on top of the thing and not overshoot, undershoot, slide off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's quite a bit of motion and inertia and just trying to control that in order to get the bacon to land on. I mean, you had me at bacon door.
Yeah. I will say this game is vaguely familiar, but I don't think I've seen it before. Maybe it was just the style of game. I don't know. But I really do like the ultra simplified graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it may have been a dream that you had.
It's possible because between me and you, I haven't had bacon now in about a year.
No. I don't want to hear this door.
I'm sorry.
How does that work?
It became too easy to just sit down and eat like half a pound of bacon because it's delicious.
Well, then you have to up the game to a full pound. I mean, you have to make it difficult.
Well, I'll retract my statement. I haven't had bacon in my house for about a year, but when we went out, I've had things with bacon because, I look at the menu, I see bacon, I'm kind of drawn towards it.
But how? I don't understand. I'm sorry, Dor. I'm extremely confused over this. You are still on the keto diet?
Yep.
And you're not eating bacon?
No, I'm eating lots of eggs, breakfast sausages, cheese, guacamole. Yeah, that's like 80% of what I eat right there.
Bacon.
I know. I wish, and I did watch a good Adam Ruins Everything where they talked about bacon and why there's the bacon window on the US packs of bacon. There's always that window, which is always misleading to what you're getting. But I wish, why can't I have smaller than a pound thing of bacon? Why can't I have a thing of bacon I open up and it's a third of a pound? There's some weird law restriction on bacon. It's the bacon haters.
It's not the baconator. It's the bacon hater.
The bacon haters.
Can you not buy some at the deli? You can't buy it by the pound at the deli?
If I do, it isn't properly, what's the word? I can't think of the right word. Nitrate infused is what I'll say. And it just it doesn't taste close to the same.
So you need the nitrates to make it taste like bacon?
Whatever the process that it goes through, yeah. It might just be like a curing, like a salting process or something, but it's different because I've tried it, the meat counter. It ain't good. And yes, I said meat counter. Okay, what I'm going to bring is next is an actual useful functional app, partially because you said the word offline. This was an app that I tagged weeks and weeks ago, only because once in a while we will all be in places that have either no connection, or will be in places with limited connection, or will be in places where we know we want to conserve bandwidth or battery. And it really is difficult for anything to beat uh what is constantly a abbreviated OSM, which stands for Open Street Maps. That this is OSM and AND, offline travel maps and navigation from OSM AND, travel and local. E for Everyone does offer in-app purchases. 65,000 reviews, completely free to download, no in-app ads. 4.2 average reviews. Updated August 20th, 2019, 69 megs in size, 5 million plus installs. Current version 3.4.8. You need 4.0 Android or up. Content rating E for Everyone. $1.63 to $9.99 in-app purchase. I do believe the in-app purchase is nothing more than to just give them a tip. I believe, I could be wrong. But I will say everything involving open street maps, it's really hard to convey that we as a people really need to thank Open Street Maps a lot, because there really is no competition to Google Maps. MapQuest is basically dead. Yahoo Maps basically doesn't exist. Open Street Maps took up the good fight, and they are a real, actual competitive mapping service to Google, and they give away everything, all of their data completely for free. You can download any map on any system and develop any application around it. And I can tell you right now, it will work. If you do not pay Google, for instance, and you host a Google map on your website and you get too much traction, you'll get a bill in the mail and you'll get turned off. I want to say it's something like 10,000 accesses a month and you start to pay money. So I really do like open street maps.
Agreed. I have a bit of experience with OpenStreetMaps and other apps which have been built upon them, and it's fantastic. It is a great project. And then you can also get vector maps from OpenStreetMaps. I don't want to get into all the details, but we've in Internet in a Box project, OpenStreetMaps is a pretty big part of it, and trying to design around OpenStreetMaps to put world maps and localized maps on an offline content server.
Very cool. Yeah. The only downside is if you have to have real-time traffic information. I don't think there's any way I've seen OpenStreetMap can pull that data in.
No, I don't, and I don't think that's really their thing. Have you ever used maps.me?
Can't say it rings a bell.
All right. I just put a link into the chat, and this is an app that quite a few friends of mine in areas which have expensive data rates use, and it's based on OpenStreetMaps as well, and it's basically the same thing, I think, similar to what you just brought, maybe just a little more polished or a little more robust. And so yeah, it's offline maps.
Very cool. $50 million plus installs. That's a lot.
Yeah, over 1 million reviews. I think maps.me is sort of the grandfather or the grand poobah of all of these offline map apps.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't trying to trump your app, Door, so
You're fine.
Don't hate me.
How are you doing, Ivor?
Oh, good, man. I'd like to be able to finish a show where I don't have to duck out halfway through and restart my system.
You're
It seems
making
to happen
Linux
every
look,
week.
you're making Linux look bad.
So sorry about that. Yep. There's an issue with Bluetooth for some reason. The receiver died and had to be reset. So I lost all my. I couldn't hear anything you were saying. So never mind. Quick restart.
They have cords for that.
No.
Do you have
I
any
suppose
more?
I should use it.
Do you have any more apps, Ivor?
I do. I have one more. And I'll stick it in the chat now. This one is called Polyclock, and it's a very simple little app. And what it does is it gives you international time. So I find it quite handy for this podcast because I can look up. I can see it has a nice little widget which shows me 3 clocks side by side, and it shows me the time in Maryland. It shows me the time in Vancouver, and it shows me the time here. And I can tell exactly what time it is if I want to send someone overseas a message. I'll just share my screen with you so you can see what it looks like on my phone.
But who do you know in the Vancouver time zone and the Maryland time zone, Ivor?
Oh, these weirdos. Yeah, these weird people, WEIRD people. And yeah, I mean, it's a very simple app. But there are various widgets you can use, which show it in different formats. It's not just the one widget. You can have 4 or 5 or 6 different time zones. It's a bit old. It's not using the latest material design, but it's very functional, and it does what I want it to do, and it works all the time. So I'm very happy with it.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll say I will happily vote for anybody, literally just about anybody, who can promise me either we'll get rid of daylight savings time altogether, or they will make one time. No such thing as time zones. I don't care if I wake up every morning at 9:10 at night. The clock is irrelevant. I don't care what the number is. I want there to be the same time. So if I say to somebody like Ivor, 9 p.m., it's the same time. It's 9 p.m. for him too. There's no reason why we can't have all the same time.
They tried to. They had this. They developed this thing called internet time, which basically was that. It was the time of the internet. So it was meant to basically do exactly that. Say it's 9 o'clock in Maryland. It's 9 o'clock in New Zealand. It's just this time, and it never caught on for some reason. I don't know why. I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Well, it's still used in programming.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's primarily what it was developed for.
But yeah, it counts from like 1974. Like the time is from whatever time in 1974.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes, that it was last updated March 8th, 2016.
All right. Yeah, that explains a few things. But yeah, it works. So I use it, and it was easy to set up, and it just tells me the time.
Nice.
Very cool. Well, I mean, I'll say this. I'll repeat John Mad Dog Hall. If you don't know who John Mad Dog Hall is, maybe you should, I don't know, stop watching broadcast television. Sometimes applications don't need to be updated. Sometimes programs don't need to be updated. Sometimes operating systems don't really need to be updated. Sometimes the reason someone is updating something is because they want something out of you. So just because something has been updated isn't a bad thing. It could just mean it's a really stable application that just works.
Well, yes, and it's a clock.
Well, unless the law changes and everyone is on the same internet time, then yes, the app doesn't need to be updated.
Yep. I don't think the sun's going to stop what it's doing, or the planet's going to stop revolving at any time.
Well, and at that point, I'm pretty sure that there's not
We've got
going to be
bigger
an app
problems when that happens.
there's not going to be an app that matters at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to bring one more app that I'll tell you right now, this is the kind of app I have a really hard time even comprehending, but I love the name of it and I love the layout of it and everything. It's called Captain, We Have a Problem. Design, layout, strategy game, for everyone. No in-app ads, no in-app purchases, completely free to download. The app has no reviews on it because it's basically that new. It's still in the beta type stage. Updated September 1st, 2019. Hey, that was like a couple of days ago. 1,000 plus installs. Size varies with device. Version of Android varies with device. Size varies with device. Again, content rating for everyone per mission. It just needs network access. It's a game. I would call like a card-based game. You're given different circumstances and you have to pick what answers to pick. And when you pick an answer, it drives the next question and the next thing to happen. And there's 4 things you have to keep in balance. And once one of those things fall too far out of balance, basically either aliens kill you, you're revolted on, and your ship will kill you, or you'll die from bad health. I mean, all kinds of different things. There's a couple card-based strategy games like this that have been out for a while that got good reviews, is what I'll say. I just like this one because it's space-based, and if you watch the video, literally at just about the halfway point, at 35 seconds exactly, you basically see a censored out guy hanging, being, I think, killed. I don't know. It's just weird.
Looks like he's about to be put into a tank with sharks with lasers.
Yeah, it's bad stuff, is what I'll say.
Frickin' shots with frickin' lasers.
Exactly. So I just thought this was, I'll also say, distracting enough to bring to the show. And it's space-based.
I just installed it, Door. This reminds me of some of my favorite books when I was young, are the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Where you just get a couple options at the bottom and then turn to that page.
And you never got into Dungeons and Dragons, but you played Choose Your Own Adventure books.
I told you I wanted to, but I didn't have any friends that I didn't have any friends that were nerdy enough, or cool enough. I don't know. But thanks for bringing that up again, Ivor. Now I'm gonna cry. I just installed this Door, and I'm certainly gonna play it just to get to the point where the guy that has his junk blocked out is getting put into the vat of frickin' lasers.
Very cool. Very cool. So do you have any parting apps there, Josh?
I do not, Door. My tank is empty.
Okay. Do you have any parting words for us?
No. I mean, I wish I was as much of a nerd as you guys are, and I'm a little bit upset that I'm not.
Okay. Ivor?
I have one more app. I
Sure.
better bring a game. I've got a game this time. This is called Kick Flick Legends. And I don't know what it was like in the US, but here and in the UK, we used to get these comic books which were about football stars and football heroes. And they had a very distinct style, very 1970s, 1980s sort of thing. And you had, stories of the famous football player who rescued a cat on his way to the game or something. And you'd have all these stories, and he scores 3 goals for his side and wins the cup. But this particular game is in that particular genre of style of football hero comic. And you play as the manager of a football club, starting out in the lower leagues, and you gradually get better and better, and you buy more better players, and you get more skilled players, and you actually get to play the games as well. You have to shoot the ball pass the ball from one player to the next, and you get to score goals, and the artwork is brilliant. It is really, really good. And I spent quite a bit of time playing this, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it really took me back again, bit of nostalgia back to the days when I was charging around the soccer field as well, reading football magazines.
I called that last Tuesday.
Very
I
cool.
Seems like last Tuesday.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing this game advertises that not a lot of games do is you can even get this on the Amazon App Store, which if you are a Kindle owner, this one is available to you. But I'll say this, I'm 99% sure this style and everything didn't originate with soccer. I'm fairly confidently sure the idea of this style, this magazine originated actually with Lucha Libre wrestling and the silver mask. I believe
yes, very similar. Yeah,
right.
At least.
But I'll say, with that said, this, even though you're not playing like full games, you're playing mini games. It looks this style is, to me, I can't look away.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It is very very engaging.
Yeah.
I have to say.
And the mini games, I'm sure there's not like a billion different types of mini games. There's only so many mini games you can do involving soccer. But I do like the fact that it's free. Do you know what the in-app purchases are?
Yeah. You can buy, because you get card packs, and each pack has either players or special abilities. So we can buy a mixed pack of that gives you extra bonuses when you're playing. You can allocate those to your players.
So could the in-app purchases just speed up your abilities, or do you think you have to spend money?
Yeah, the purchase, they will speed up your abilities and make you give your players more abilities or special abilities. Yeah,
gotcha.
Make it easier.
Very
to
cool.
win the game.
They're not actual players, I wouldn't imagine.
No.
Okay.
Well, just because that would cost too much money for them.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
for sure. Licensing fees.
Yeah. Very good. Very cool. Do you have any parting words for everyone, Ivor?
No, just to keep on going and enjoy what you do, and thank you for your support. We really do appreciate all the people who watch us and listen to us and provide Patreon funding as well. So thank you.
Very cool. App/link rundown. Okay, here we go. IoT-based botnet infecting Android set-top boxes. We have the credit card size phone, aka the light phone. We have the ebook 10.3 Likebook Mimas. We have Hong Kong protesters offline messaging apps. We have Hacker Simulator Tycoon. After that, we have a blog on Medium about mesh networking in distant lands. We have Magnet Balls Pro Free, RollerCoaster Tycoon Classic, themes for Huawei and Honor, I Became a Dog, Idle Poo Factory VIP, Yora Adventures, Linux Command Library, Last Arrows, Airdroid Remote Support, YouTube Movies and Shows Free with Ads, Palabri, Feedly RSS Newsreader, Bacon the Game, OSM and Offline Travel Maps and Navigation, Maps Me, Offline Maps Guide and Navigation, Poly Clock, World Clock. That's a whole lot of apps and links. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the live show. I want to thank everyone for all their support. Again, do not hesitate if you want to send us an email, aaa@podnutz.com. If you want to send us a voicemail, that is 7076 Podnut. If you want to chat with us on Reddit, it's reddit.com/r/Podnut. I do need to take a look at, I've had 2 or 3 people now tell me if I liked Google Plus, I need to look at Google, what was it called? Google Pages? Google Communities? I'll figure it out. And if it looks good, I'll definitely try to bring it back again next week. Thank everyone for the support. Thank everyone for the downloads. We will talk to everyone again real soon.
But it says Google Plus communities.
Yeah, see, then it's not that. Google, it's not forums, but it was forum like is what I'll say.
Well, it's pretty much whatever you're going to use from Google that's going to be gone in 5 years.
Well, yes, but I will say this. Google Stadia, I was down on. But then I had another podcast point something out to me that I did not realize. We all, huff and puff and kid about how Google kills everything. Google kills everything. Google kills everything. Can you tell me something that Google charges money for and they've killed?
Is this a trick question?
Oh yeah, it is, because you can't think of one. I can't think of one. I don't know anybody who's been able to think of one.
Hey, Dor, sorry. My Audacity has just gone blank. It says it's still recording, but there's no option to change it here to stop it or to export it.
Yeah, you can try to run like a task manager or monitor, and you can try to kill it, open it up, and rescue it.
So it's just Control-Alt-Delete? Oh, no.
No.
How do I run the task manager?
Go to your
Sorry.
like start menu, look for either task or MON.
Right. Oh, task
Yeah.
monitor, yeah.
Yeah, system monitor.
What hardware are you running?
It's
Oh, it's a desktop that I put together a few years ago.
Get Lenovo, you'll be fine.
yeah. Then go
So
ahead.
would it be okay to just end the process? I'm not
Well,
gonna
you don't have a
lose-
choice. It ain't responding. So you can try to end the process, and you can try to relaunch it and see if it lets you recover it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, it has recovered it.
Well, go ahead and hit recover, and then
Okay.
hit the maximize button, and then click anywhere in the audio, and then hit Control A, and then towards the middle left, do you see the 4 magnifying glass icons on your toolbar?
Oh, yep.
Okay, yep. The third one, not the plus, not the minus, that one. Yep, go ahead and click that. Okay, so you only have 20 minutes worth of audio.
But this is the second half. I've definitely got the first half. Okay.
Gotcha.
So I will export this.
I don't know if you have them Door. There was a couple other apps you didn't mention at the end.
What's that?
Captain, we have a problem, and
Oh.
Flick Kick Football Legends.
Then I must have put them out of order. I did. That's what happened. Okay. So wait a minute. That's why Flick Kick should go after Holly, I'm going to guess.
No, I think it's after Captain, we have a problem. I think you brought Captain, we have a
Holly,
problem,
Captain,
and then Flick Kick.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I just want to make sure that you had them in the list.
I did, but I had them out of order, and I would have probably forgotten about them.
Oh.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, that felt great. Okay. Quit now. I need to start the upload. Studio.
Yeah, there's that clicking again.
Yeah, it's the Bluetooth.
Oh, Ivor, you got to get some corded headphones, man.
I really think it's mine.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. All right. I can do that.
Yeah.
I learned something the other day. Bluetooth isn't Bluetooth.
Really?
Bluetooth is not Bluetooth. Bluetooth is Wi-Fi. Uses the exact same spectrum. Which is why if you have too many Bluetooth devices on your device, you'll notice your Wi-Fi performance will go down.
So it's the same protocol, or what?
It's a different protocol, but it uses the same spectrum. So if you if here's the perfect example, Raspberry Pi 3, its Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are basically right next to each other with no antenna. If you constantly ping the Bluetooth, if you're constantly searching for something to connect to, you will never connect to anything on Wi-Fi ever, because they're using the exact same spectrum. And I had no idea. But it makes sense why on some devices I have issues when I'm, hitting them both hard is what I'll say. And this was not 548.
549.
So it's 549. So why did that say that to me? Why? Oh yeah. Because that's because messed up. That's why I didn't have one to upload. Right. Oh, my head is killing me. Okay, so now what I need to do, come over here. There it is right here. Come into edit. I got that. Let me come here, copy. At least get that pasted there. Links, bracket. Okay, I need the tags though. So if I hit cancel, cog, YouTube Studio, cancel. Yeah, the only thing I don't like is the fact that if I copy paste the links in the YouTube chat, it's never what I'm copying. The interface is lying to me. It's a really long URL that's like protecting people.
Well, also I noticed with that the YouTube link that you put in, when you click on it, it actually opens in the same window or the same tab.
Well, that's not good.
No, not really. So I actually had to go back into the.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to completely mess up where you're at.
That was the only one though. So I guess if you do a YouTube link in the YouTube, then yeah, whatever. Not good.
And most of the things were free. So I'm going to do that just because.
Do you guys want me to do an opening, or does anybody else want to do it?
If you want to, I say do it.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I got nothing, man.
I'm doing the post-production.
All right.
I'll do next week, Josh?
Sure. All right, I'm gonna. I'll try it here. Ivor is a huge nerd. Dora is actually present, and Josh envies D&D players on this week's installment of Android App Addicts.
Was it Ivor or Josh that brought the light phone? I'm serious.
What's a nerd?
The brain can't remember that long ago. It was like an hour.
Yeah, I brought that one.
Okay. Seriously, brain just, somebody
Oh, that
asked
is-
me today about something I did, and I was like, when did I do that? He said, oh, it was about 10 years ago. Pfft, dude, why are you asking me? What's wrong with you? You don't ask me that question. I have no idea. It was to like a script that I put on a server.
Man, I listened to this intro, and I really am just on lewds or something, man. Like there's no energy whatsoever. Like,
You're not on lewd.
it's a stoner on lewds, man. Like, hey,
Hey, man.
hey, man, Doors like not here, man.
You sound like Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna try that again.
I remember your last one, your last week one, your first try, you just came across particularly low energy.
Yeah, dude, but that's the thing. I don't have that mark gene, like
No, yeah, it's a definite gift. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'll just yell instead. All right, I'm gonna try it again. I'll get my sheet of paper where I wrote it down. Ivor is a huge nerd. Dor is actually present, and Josh envies D&D players.
This isn't Twit, Josh.
Buy a mattress.
Yeah. Buy a pink mattress. Oh wait, no, purple.
That's actually better than the first one.
Yeah, I should use that one.
The all new orange mattress.
Oh man,
It's even better.
I think you probably went a bit too far the other way. Somewhere in the middle would be good.
Maybe you think?
What the hell, Red? What are you talking about, man? Yeah, and give us those apps or something. All right. I'll try it again. Need to sit up in my chair, maybe. Plus, I'm about to piss my pants. Ivor is a huge nerd. Dor is actually present, and Josh envies D&D players on this week's installment of Android App Addicts. I'm just an idiot, I think, is what it comes down to.
No, you're your biggest critic. That's the truth.
Well, I can look at the Audacity too, and it looks like a funnel. It starts big and then it just goes down to nothing. Kind of like my career arc.
Your career.
Yeah, rent money, Red. Quote, rent money.
What's he talking about? You left a bar with $300.
Yeah, from
How
a
do you leave a
lady.
bar with $300?
From a lady. I don't know. I thought that the cash usually went the other way, but I don't. What do I know?
Yeah.
I was watching Glow on Netflix. Gorgeous ladies of wrestling, and I did find it funny. One scene, a girl hooked up with a guy, and they each other thought they were a prostitute. So at the end of the experience, he was like, well, you said this was, something we could talk about later. So yeah, I think 200's fair. And she's like, oh, more than fair. He said, okay, well, how do you want to pay me? Excuse me? I thought you were paying me. And,
Hey, sorry guys, I've got to go and collect my daughter from school. But
all right, man.
that was
Good
great.
seeing you, man.
Yeah. See ya.
Take it easy, man. Okay.
Did you listen to last week, Dor?
Yeah, I listened to everything.
But so you did. You already listened to it.
Yeah. And I purposely left in Ivor saying, I think he did it on purpose. While I think to myself, no, not on purpose.
What are you talking about, Red? Your story is getting more and more outrageous. I love it.
There's a lot of damn links, man. For over 17 links.
Yeah, that Poo app. Oh Jesus, man, just ridiculous. All right, both my files should be up there.
Okay, I can check. Give me a second here.
Yeah, no worries. That was fun, Door.
Oh yeah, that's good. I am tempted to say let's try hard to have shows shorter than an hour and a half, just because they're harder to edit.
Well, there's other factors too, I think.
I don't know.
As far as editing goes. Wires are our friend.
Yeah.
Did you get $300 off of her, Red?
I tell you one thing that sucks, Josh.
Mm.
Wife got furniture that we had to basically put together and wrap in cloth kind of thing, you know. And I'm so like physically pampered. I have like what amounts to like carpet burns all over my damn knuckles, and they hurt like hell.
Holy smokes, Door.
And I wanted to get it done last night and have time to do mini PC, and no, it was literally 2 straight hours, 2+ straight hours of just getting everything together.
You know that that's the sign of bacon deficiency.
Yeah, well, yeah, I tell you what's a sign of a lot of money I'm not getting back anytime soon. Because you know she doesn't buy anything cheap.
And you still had to put it together?
Oh yeah, it was even more expensive for them to come put it together.
Wow. What's the I've been hearing on podcasts there's a couch company.
Is it Lovesack?
No.
I don't know any other one. Do I?
Fudge. Hold on, I'll find it.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, and I don't remember. I mean, I skip a lot of the ads, so you know.
Yeah.
Some of them are just so fake. It's like, oh my god.
Oh man, I listened to the Tony Kornheiser show. And it's so fake that it's hilarious. Like he just talks so much shit about the sponsors. It's unbelievable that people still sponsor him.
Well, I'll say this: I have heard people in the past like that, and to me, that's just proof that the people paying the ads have no idea what they're paying for, nor do they ever even listen to the ads. I think that's actually, I hate to say it, common. I don't think most ad people never listen to anything.
Well, yeah, and if it's bringing it in customers, who cares?
Well, it isn't even that. It's as long as there's the perception it's bringing people in, that's all they care. Because you know it's really difficult to tell whether or not they actually do, unless you're like Leo Laporte and you use really crazy, accurate ways to track people voluntarily. I'll add, it's all voluntarily with him.
So it's
Okay, so 549. Oh, paste, save.
burrow couches.
No, I can't say I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell you one thing, man. I am struggling hard on this development thing. Like when I got out of that boot camp in, I guess it was March when I finished, or April,
Right.
March. I was gung ho, ready to go, and then I haven't done a lot since then, and it's just gone, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, to me, and I'll say to me, it's the kind of thing. I have to have examples constantly to go off of, and I have to have somebody there working towards something. You can't just imaginary say, well, now let me make a site where I can keep track of my DVDs. That kind of shit doesn't work.
Well, I've got I've got several projects that I can do and actually get paid to do them, but I don't know if I have the capacity anymore, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, well, I have no problem saying I'm technically in software development in my job, and I even said to my boss's boss today, I'm not sure I should be in this group. I'm really not very good at development. He just laughed. I said, well, if you need something broke, I can do that. I can break anything. Better at administration.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm good at. Is if you need me to QA your code, I can definitely break it.
Mm-hmm. I sat with a guy today. He had a new account created for me for this service I wanted to use. Okay. He reset the password. He came to my desk. He wouldn't even say the password out loud. He wrote it on a Post-it note and he handed it to me. And I typed it in. And I immediately had to change it. So okay, whatever. So I immediately just opened up a new tab, GRC space password, hit enter, and I yank back a 64 character password. I put it in the thing and say paste. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm setting the new password. I said, that's not a password. Yeah, it is a password. I hit enter. The system let me set that as a password. Then I couldn't log back into the system. He said, you didn't even log in and you broke it. I said, yeah. That's what I do. He said, no, I got to go back upstairs and reset the password again. I said, okay, well, the system didn't tell me I couldn't have a password, too long. It didn't tell me what was allowed or was not allowed. So I put in my 64 character password.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like I can't remember what it was. I was doing a password for something, and it was almost like a security app or security something that claimed to be security. And I put in a password. It said, "Oh, that password's too complex," or like do something. Like, what are you talking about? It's not that hard. I mean, it's maybe a little more computational power to hash a 64 character password versus an 8 character password, but come on now.
Well, and I tried to explain this to somebody the other day at work. You type a 2 character password, I type a 300 character password. They should take up the exact same amount of space in a database. You should never be able to look at a password in a database and understand and get anything from length password or anything. So you should allow any characters. You should encourage more than a certain amount, but you should allow any number characters into a password because you will always hash it down to being 100 characters or whatever, no matter what they put in. So if somebody says you have too many characters in a password, they're not salting and hashing correctly, which to me is just, an exploit away from being on the front page of a website,
Well, and that's one of the main things too with these apps, the web apps and that I'm trying to in the website that I might have to just contract out instead. But I mean, that's my biggest concern is there's going to be personal data. I mean, not a lot, but there will be, there'll be email, name, phone number at least.
Right.
And I don't want to deal with that.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but that is a reason to offload all of that onto something like OAuth and Google or Facebook. The advantage to that is, well, then you have no information to store. You know what I mean? It's like catch 22. because there's no perfect way to do it. If you don't even want any data or anything to be vulnerable on your system, then you just owe off and you hand the responsibility off to somebody else.
Well, the one that I've been working on then that I haven't gotten anywhere on, and that's the one I've been trying to get Gatsby, is basically probably 4 different, like Google ads and Facebook ads and a couple other different apps, and using their APIs to consolidate to where I could create like a customer portal so that they can see all the data without actually needing to log into these other apps that we're using.
Right. Well, if you have to do Google ads, is what I'm going to say, Google ads, in the YouTube chat, you really need to download that and use that. That is a official Google sponsored, what you see is what you get editor, specifically designed for rich ads that meet Google's approval, is what I'm going to say.
Oh,
And
I'm not making the actual ads. I'm collecting like
the booking,
what's that?
the
We're tracking leads
booking.
basically. For car dealerships is kind of what I'm doing right now. And that's what I was telling you. I might have priced myself out of work. So it went from as many hours you want to I can't afford you full time. So
right.
It's kind of exciting. It's a bit of a startup, which I've never been part of before. So
Gotcha. And I got nothing to drink tonight but water.
I went, here's that Zevia stuff I was telling you about.
Yeah. I looked around, man, and I asked somebody at the gas station across the street from work, and they just said, "What?"
No, it won't be a gas station thing. It'll be a grocery store thing, or like a Whole Foods, probably something like that.
We ain't got no Whole Foods by me. We have Wegmans.
You got Half Foods.
Yeah. We have Wegmans that we go to when she wants steak. Because you go there and the steaks you get are literally like 2-inch thick steaks.
Costco's got a bit of that.
Yeah.
They got good steaks.
Yeah. The only thing I like about Wegmans is you buy a pack and they're all individually sealed in the pack. Just makes it less work when I get home to freeze them and thaw kind of thing. With BJ's or Costco, every time we get them, they're just in the normal foam pack.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a vacuum sealer for that stuff.
I tell you what, YouTube has gotten hell of a slow at when I upload the video now.
Do you know Streets Market?
I don't think so.
Okay, what boy, I think we're alone.
We're live.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you what your address or something around you, like what's the
Joppatown, Maryland. Bel Air,
what's that?
Maryland. Bel Air, Maryland. Joppatown.
What's it? What's your zip code? How about that?
21085.
21085. Joppa. Sweet. Do you know Nature's Fresh?
Nope.
Food Line Store, Target Greatland.
Food Line, yeah. Target, yeah. We go to Target all the time.
Edgewood, that's Edgewood?
The
Food
Target?
Line. No, well, Target Greatland is Abingdon.
We try not to go into Edgewood because if you rearrange the letters of Edgewood, they spell good weed. And there's a lot of crime in Edgewood.
Okay.
Even though it's 2 miles down the road.
You know Target Greatland?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they've got that. They've got Zevia.
Okay.
according to this, and giant food store in.
I honestly think we have to go there this weekend for something with school with the kid. Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Cool. All right. Well, I would recommend.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me do this.
I'd recommend this, which is the ginger root beer. With some rye.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I do have his 2 parts and your 2 parts of the audio. Very cool.
Yeah, so the first one was the orange one
Hmm.
with some gin.
Gotcha.
And I tell you, after that one, I couldn't say RSS.
Right. Oh my goodness. All right, man. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, cut off this stream, and edit the audio because this damn YouTube thing's taking forever.
Cool. Just so you know, your Green Bay Packers beat your Chicago Bears.
Okay. I'm heartbroken. I don't know if I should be happy or heartbroken.
Well, wait to be heartbroken until the Ravens go 3-14 or
Oh,
12
no,
or 13.
if they go 3-13, I'll cheer. Are you kidding?
Who's your team? Do you have
Sure
a
the
team?
hell ain't the Baltimore Browns.
You got Lamar Miller though, or Lamar
I don't care,
doesn't
man.
Jackson.
Now,
Do you have it?
I just know the Baltimore team too intimately. I know how unethical everybody is on the team and the coaching and the ownership and everything else.
Are you a Skins fan then?
No, I like the Seahawks just because they were from Seattle.
Nice. That's my team as well.
Emerald City.
Emerald City. Now it's apparently San Francisco North, and
I
there's a
know.
lot of homeless.
Exactly. I know. Yeah, it could be worse. They could be like the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man.
All right, I'm gonna kill the stream.
Red, thanks for coming out, man.
Take it
It's
easy, Red.
always nice to see you in there. Good talking with you, Dora. We'll be in touch.